scored the equalizer, meaning the match would go to penalties. Now, with both teams having scored 3 penalties each, Ashley Cole shot his over the bar. Everton captain Phil Neville managed to hold his nerve. The Merseysiders winning the shootout 4-3. 2 other fifth-round matches took place Saturday. Both Birmingham and Stoke beat their lower league opposition by 3-0. To women's tennis, and Caroline Wozniacki will play Russia's Svetlana Kuznetsova in the Dubai Championships final after both came through their semis in straight sets. Wozniacki fought back from 5-2 down in the opening set to beat Serbia's Jelena Jankovic 7-5, 6-3. The Dane has won 3 of her 5 previous meetings with Kuznetsova. The Russian beat Italy's Flavia Pennetta 6-4, 6-4 in the other semi-final. Meanwhile, top-seeded Andy Roddick has advanced to the finals of the Memphis Championship final after beating Juan Martin Del Potro on Saturday. The American, who's looking for his 30th career title, beat Del Potro 6-3, 6-4. Now, Roddick will face big-hitting Canadian Milos Raonic. The 20-year-old fired 23 aces in his semi-final against Marty Fitch. Raonic sealed a 6-4, 4-6, 6-3 win to book his place in the final. And that's it for sport. Back to you, Sammy.
Thanks so much, Farah. Well, winds topping 80 kilometres per hour have caused travel delays around the Washington, D.C. area. The gales fanned fires in surrounding counties, prompting the closure of several highways. Well, as Barbara Benitez reports, the gusts also uprooted a very special tree.
4, 3, 2, 1.
It's a presidential tradition dating back to 1923, the annual lighting of the national Christmas tree in Washington, D.C. But the majestic blue spruce that has stood over the White House for the past 32 years is no more, a victim of strong winds gusting through the U.S. Capitol on Saturday morning. The previous 2 national Christmas trees have also been toppled by wind.
We knew that this tree wouldn't last, just as any tree on planet Earth doesn't last forever. So this really is a part of nature.
A replacement tree was found 2 years ago by the National Park Service, which takes care of the land near the White House and where the tree is supposed to stand.
This coming December, there will easily be a new Christmas tree in the ground for the next lighting of the National Christmas Tree in December.
By the end of the day, the tree was headed for the wood chipper, gone but not forgotten. Barbara Benitez, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Well, it's party time again in Brazil's Rio de Janeiro. 2 weeks before the city's famous carnival starts, hundreds of people have gathered in the neighborhood of Ipanema for a warm-up party. Well, one of the area's most famous bands holds a street party every year ahead of the 4-day event to give residents a taste of what's to come. Well, there's just enough time to bring you pictures of a rather unusual rescue carried out by police in China. They were called upon to give vets in a wildlife park a helping hand to administer medical aid to some dolphins. The mammals fell ill in a wildlife park in Shandong province. Police poured water over them for 2 hours to prevent dehydration. Well, still to come here in Al Jazeera, we'll be live in Bahrain's capital, Manama, as protesters take back Pearl Roundabout. Stay with us.
The first Green Building Solutions Conference and Exhibition, Doha 2011. A unique chance to explore opportunities from upcoming sustainable developments in Qatar. Come and join us.
All the news, all the time. AlJazeera.net/English.
Information travels in many ways. Knowledge passes in an instant.
If you want to communicate with those shaping the headlines, this is your chance to ask questions directly to the people making the news. Riz Khan, at this time on Al Jazeera.
It's 11 GMT. You're watching Al Jazeera. I'm Sami Zaidan. These are our top stories. Human Rights Watch says 104 people have been killed in a crackdown on anti-government protesters in Libya. The worst violence appears to be in the eastern city of Benghazi. Protests have begun again on Sunday in Bahrain's Pearl roundabout after the military withdrew. The government has offered to talk. Opposition groups are calling for a strike. There are reports of shots being fired as pro and anti-government supporters clash outside Sana'a University. President Ali Abdullah Saleh has blamed the unrest on a foreign plot. Well, we begin in Libya, where despite many people being killed, anti-government protesters have returned to a court building in Benghazi to demand the overthrow of Muammar al-Gaddafi. Al Jazeera's Stephanie Decker has more.
The streets of Benghazi on Saturday, a fierce battle and the scene of death and violence.
I have cousins who are in the streets whose friends have been killed right in front of them. The killings are just going on. Bodies are piled everywhere. The numbers that they announce on TV are nowhere to compare. They're just firing people. Sniper shooters are on the rooftop. Every house, every single house.
In the morgue, one man takes a last look at his relative and murmurs, he was not armed. Also from Benghazi, this video, which we cannot independently verify, claims to show what protesters believe is a mercenary, a hired killer, contracted by the Libyan regime to attack demonstrators. And the unrest is spreading across the country. Here in Al-Baidiyah, thousands gather near the main mosque, another city rocked by days of protests against the country's leadership. Chanting "There's no God but Allah," mourners carry the body of one of those killed. And there's more chaos. Anti-Gaddafi graffiti sprayed on walls, and a voice through a loudspeaker saying, "There's no state here." Reports of casualties are running high and constantly rising. The city's hospital overwhelmed. The morgue is filled with bodies. And more are still coming. On Libyan state television, the first signs that the country is in difficulty. Images of burning buildings, a result of the protests. They're blaming foreign forces for trying to destabilize the country. But while thousands of Libyans remain on the streets in various cities across the country, it's becoming harder and harder to ignore their calls. Stephanie Decker, Al Jazeera.
Well, many people in Libya are, as we've heard, protesting about unemployment and poverty. But the country does have the highest GDP per capita in Africa. Well, that's due to its vast natural resources and relatively small population. Libya has the largest proven oil reserves in Africa, an estimated 44 billion barrels. But experts say there could be plenty more oil. Only 25% of the country's surface territory has actually been explored. Well, the bulk of that oil is exported to Europe and North America. Libya is Europe's single largest oil suppliers. Some studies say Western Europe gets a quarter of its oil from Libya. Well, to manage the oil revenues, Libya set up a sovereign wealth fund to invest those assets. According to the Libyan Investment Authority's director, the fund has $70 billion at hand to invest. So where is all this wealth? Well, for more on this, we're joined from Dubai by Richard Thompson from the Middle East